e-gaming bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Play CSGO? Discover more than 5 various kinds of bets just for a single map. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Getting tired of playing with the usual skins, but don't have enough money to buy a new one? Get rich fast with CSGoFast.com. CSGoFast. It's a strong chance of winning in every game. Several rooms with different game modes. Daily, more than 1,000 games, 5,000 players, and 25,000 skins at stake. You don't need much in order to sweep the board.
Welcome back to the Starladder I-League Star Series Season 2. We are here with our consolidation final, and the winner of this will go through to the $300,000 Star Series LAN. So, a lot at stake, but some good things and bad things I think came across in that first map. Do you want to talk about the good or the bad?
I don't know. I don't want to tar them all with the same brush. I feel like there were some nice players and some bad players on both sides of things. I think Devil was actually, for me, the MVP practically of EnVyUs. I think
on the T side.
On the T side, anyway. On the CT side, I'd look at actually Happy, which feels a bit odd because I also feel like on the T side, Happy was disastrous in his playstyle. So this is the thing about me not saying I wanted to tar them all with the same brush, because I feel like it's very much dependent on what side of the map we're looking at. Overall,
yeah, for sure.
EnVyUs, it felt like they played better, but then HR, they should not have been allowed anywhere near the rounds they managed to string back.
Well, yeah, no, they got a ridiculous amount on that second side. 12, in fact, after only getting 2 in the first half. Angel on the CT side was absolutely phenomenal. Ended up top fragging after only getting 3 in the first half, which really shows how good he was, ending up, I think, on 29. So phenomenal stuff from him, but at the same time, very scary stuff. Neither of the teams really played very well on the T side. We're going on to much more CT side in map, and I don't know.
I think this spells quite nicely for EnVyUs, actually. This is where I think EnVyUs could kick into gear and have a very nice CT side, because that's what they seem to be good at. The worrying point for me is on nuke. Actually, pulling off T side is much harder than it's pulling off on Dust 2.
Yeah,
because
no,
we looked at Dust 2, and Dust 2 is a 50-50 map. Statistically speaking, I think it's 51-49 kind of stat line, which you don't see at any other map in Counter-Strike. So that alone highlights that if they struggled that much just finding 3 rounds on their T side per se, I don't look at them playing nuke on their T side and going, well, this is going to go very well. I feel like this could be a bloodbath if they start on T side.
Well, I think the last time they played it, they managed to get 9 rounds CT side, which was against Dignitas, or last time in this tournament. And I think Dignitas only lost 2 or 3 overall. So, like, it was like, oh, yeah, look, it's like 16-11, 16-12. It's not that bad, but they just couldn't get anything going on that T side. And bear in mind, Dignitas are very, very good at the CT sides of most maps, but I think they're one team that's definitely gone for that nuke avenue. Another team who's gone for that nuke avenue is HellRaisers. They've been picking it up quite a few times. They've shown that they can beat Team X. They've beaten a few teams who are also on the rise. And I don't know. I think if it was going to be a map that they could pull off, this would probably be it. More so on this map, I normally highlight him anyway, but definitely going to look towards Zero. I think there was a sort of round, a clutch that he managed to pull off the last time we saw, which was a 1 versus 4, sprayed down 2 people who lined up a little bit over towards heaven.
Still huge nonetheless, though.
Yeah, 1v4 in any situation is huge, so definitely going to be looking towards him. I think on the other side of things, definitely want Kenny to step up on that CT side if he's going to be controlling outside, and that was where they actually lost a lot of their rounds. It was either a 9-6 or a 10-5, but I remember specifically there was a couple of rounds where they just abandoned outside completely, and Dignitas went, oh, thank you, and just ran inside and took over A.
On that trail of thought, one of the things I'm going to be looking for in this matchup is actually the AWP players, because, let's be honest, we didn't really see too much amazing stuff coming out from Smike very early on, but then also Kenny well, he might have delivered a couple I saw stuff, but for me, I look at that round. If you asked me who the AWPer was, knowing nothing about Counter-Strike, I'd say MBK because he was the one hitting the shots in that first map. So I've got to say, I'm looking to see what Kenny and Smike can do in this map, because also, a double-up setup, I'm not too fond of on either side.
No, I don't think we pull it in on this map as such. For me, I think Kenny on the CT side was absolutely fine. Like, I think he had was like 16-4, MBK was like a little bit higher, like not really anything too ridiculous. They were both performing very well with the AWP. Second half, we didn't see him at all, so I wonder if it's even worth picking up the AWP, because it is a heavy investment, but at the same time, it's a different map, it's a different avenue. We can't just keep, like you said, putting the same shade of paint over and just saying, yeah, every single map's the same. No, of course, this is a completely different scenario for Kenny and that AWP, and the same for Smike. But in this round, we're looking at, well, a pretty fast play. Straight out, the nade actually blows out the vent. I like that. That's very quick and quite clever. It allows Apex to go down quicker than you could actually do it in any other fashion. However, Zero's there to trade. We're looking now to see he doesn't know there's players behind him. He got down so quick, they didn't even see it. And that's really nice on the pistol. Apex, smart stuff. And now we're looking at the three players. The bomb should go down fairly comfortably. Kenny with another frag. And this seems to have worked absolutely perfectly.
The accuracy alone on the EnVyUs side is just paying some huge dividends, because they find themselves now in a 4 versus 1. You don't look at this situation and go, Bondic, well, what on earth can he possibly do? The answer is he's going to find one frag, takes down Devil, but he's met by the hands of Apex with a Glock who, let's be honest, stepped up huge in that round. Backed up by Kenny, a 3-2 scenario for those two players. Apex on the 3, Kenny on the 2. And I look at that on paper and go, well, that does kind of show me a very good MVST side, just in the pistol round in terms of the way they constructed themselves. But I've got to say, I'm also looking towards the buys now. If they can follow through with that sort of positioning, that sort of map control, I'm not as scared as I originally was.
I just really like that nade. That nade that blew out the door in the vent, and Apex he just was able to continue running without actually stopping. I really like that. That was really smart. There is going to be a force on the other side. Angel taking the brunt of some nades down to just 12 HP. All three rifles currently on the MV side, so playing this one pretty safe. But at the same time, already a little bit of damage done. Trying to get a few more tags off with the Deeg at least. And of course, one shot to the head, and bye-bye whoever had that helmet on. Either way, still quite a few players to deal with here. Have to be careful. Sticko going to go a little bit aggressive and taken down quite low. But at the same time, no real map control gain just yet from Envy. They're trying to push this outside. This is where their rifles are going to be most effective. So, yeah, that's a smart decision. But for the rest of it, they've got to actually take over and get a little bit close and personal.
Big concern for me. Now, one thought that's really sticking in the back of my mind is the HP of HellRaisers already just being dropped so dangerously low. They're going to be just creeping on our EnVyUs. They've taken themselves quite a bit of control. You talked about outside being completely abandoned. There's really only one player nearby. It'll be Angel. But he's just one man with a Deagle. Not really much he can do at all. Thankfully, it's actually going to be the pressure going towards ramp. And BK coming man up first, but they're just not checked at Zero at all. So he's going to find himself one. Smike following up with a second. Kenny actually might find himself a frag. But from a man perspective, you look at this and go, well, this isn't HR's opportunistic time. They can actually try and pull something off here. But it's so easy to find frags with these rifles, and we're just going to be seeing that one come full circle. Apex and Happy doing the D that needs to be done as they bring things back to a 3 versus 2.
Yeah, the closest of this round has slowly faded away, but Smike gets a knife! The ninja doing some nice work, and well, if they can drop one more, they've already lost one rifle now, at least. The Happy hasn't picked up a second, so there's potential for them to not even get the other back. We'll see whether or not that will actually be picked up. It's going to be the AK, and there's the Galil. So not the worst case scenario, but still dropping 3 players. A knife kill, of course, for Smike, which is basically going to say, hello, AWP, and some extra pistols in this round as well.
Yeah, they're not going to be complaining at all. It's paid some nice dividends, so now they're going to be just bearing those rewards. On the flip side, HR, well, it's the same old narrative, them just let off the pistols, trying to do the damage once again. But that knife kill, still just not out of the back of my head just yet, just sitting there just going, well, that's some nice money, but also, just from a mentality perspective, that can do wonders, just getting into player's head.
Yeah, now, this should be an easier cleanup. They do have some pistols currently on the Envy side, so basically just stubborn that they don't want to buy back up into the next, and I guess that's fair enough. Really just going to be looking at those rifles to just clean up these remaining players. And the fact is none of them actually have armor. We're only looking at Smike with the Deeg to do any real damage. As you can see, slowly falling apart. They're now going to get themselves down and just you could see all the frags just going their way in this scenario, not really expecting too much. But next round is where we're going to be looking towards this team, whether or not they will get themselves the AWP. I think that's almost guaranteed on the HellRaisers side. More importantly, will we see one onto Kenny, or are they just going to stick with rifles, speed things up, try and break them instantly? And also the setup. That's what I'm looking for HellRaisers, because from these follow-up and pistol rounds, you can't really say anything about setup. You can just guess. So now we're actually going to see whether they'll have 2 people outside, sort of like Dignitas have done so far. Will they have more players sort of inside? Who will be playing over towards ramp? There's plenty of questions that can be asked, and hopefully they're soon going to be answered.
Looking to see finally what positions they will opt to play. Maybe you're going to see a bit of a long-range AWP coming into action. Especially going to be looking to see what Kenny can bring to the table with that. Of course, HellRaisers, Smike may be able to work with something, and they actually will get the option. The AWP will come up into play, so going to be looking to see what both teams can actually bring to the table. But EnVyUs, they've not gone for the sniper. They could have easily afforded this. They decided, no, we want to go for the quick rifle play, and it's going to pay off. Kenny going to find himself one. Sticko going to be giving him some hot feet as he will find the quick trade. Even with some nice information play coming into Sticko, he needs to realize you can't shoot from ladders. The answer is no. As EnVyUs, they're going to find themselves some more quick frags. Bondic, he's trying his best to trade things back into the fader. And the HE grenade just going to be knocking Smike down even lower.
Yeah, Smike now with the AWP, a decent positional play, but the problem is it looks like they're going to be hunting for him. Trying to take that AWP out of play, and there goes Happy, removing him from the round 0. No 1v3 this time for you, and a nice start now for Envy. The first 3 rounds, yeah, after you win the pistol, that's sort of a given. That one, not so much. And now we even look at the free AWP going to be thrown over to Kenny, so that's even more valuable. He found the first kill in that round. A couple of mistakes, has to be said, were made there. We'll talk about shooting off a ladder, doesn't really work, and unfortunately that's going to lead them back to sort of pistols again, except for Sticko, who's going to go for the shotty.
Shotgun, I kind of look at it and go, at times it can be disastrous. It's almost a bit of a joke buy, but we've seen it. It's like cobblestone work. Maybe you can do some wonders on the close.
Speaking of joke buy.
Smike, he's got the Zeus in hand. He's looking to have an impact, but an impact that will somewhat bear fruitless for him, but he wants to take down a rifle. But this round, it feels like a complete joke coming out from Hayshaw. They've got a shotgun in play. Now they have a Zeus. The Zeus already been denied any impact at all, will be taken down. Angel going to find one with a Deagle, making quick work of Apex's cranium. But even then, it should be a quick trade to roll in, and it'll be Devil to do the damage.
Yeah, again, we're just looking at a bit of a clean-up round. Any damage that can be done from Angel is going to be valuable, but not expecting too much from him. That should be a free frag, though, so that's one. No cover, and actually Sticko's managed to grab another. Now this is getting a little bit too costly for my liking. MV down to just 2 players once again. Even the sort of eco rounds are looking like they have to be clutched out. We're looking at 0. Missed shot. Over to the tech. And Kenny will end his life. Looking like a strong start for Kenny, which is always a scary prospect in itself. Definitely a player that thrives off confidence. And, well, I think that's with most AWPers, in fact. But looking towards Sticko here. He's in a 1v2. Realistically, there's a chance he could win this round, so going for it is on the cards, but is it more valuable than keeping the AK?
Gotta say, I don't feel like it is, because you look at the positioning of EnVyUs, they're very much set up, albeit they won't quite know where Sticko is coming from, but the positions they're holding, they will actually work out in their favor, because Sticko, well, the best option he's got, if he wanted to pull this one off, would be to head up towards rafters. You can see him toying with that concept, but the time is ticking on down, and I think his decision has been made. He will be going straight towards CT, trying to save that rifle into that 6th round. And ultimately, for me, I think that's a smart call. I don't think he had too much an opportunity. EnVyUs, by luck, some would say, was set up in nice angles to hold him off from rafters, which means he might have found one frag, but a quick trade would have rolled in. Hayden would have left rifleless, and EnVyUs still would have walked away the round.
Yeah, the time also was the sort of problem. He gambled over towards B. It doesn't pay off. The rebuy is not going to be the most painful thing at the moment for MB, so not too worried just yet. We talk about the fact that Kenny started strong, Happy still doing well, Apex as well. And we already mentioned the fact that against Dignitas, they're able to sort of 9 or 10 rounds on that CT side. They're already getting to the point where they're doing more than enough to just allow that to be there. So now we're looking for the step up. If MV win this round, then there's problems. HellRaisers, I think they need to call a pause, because this is still nuke. Yes, it's not as CT-sided as it used to be, but we've already seen MV struggle on this T side, so if they pull this many rounds off, then they're sort of being scared. However, there we go. Smike starts things off with a bang. The bang, of course, MBK's head.
Bit of an awkward one for him to find himself in a smoke, so he's going to be walking right in front of Devil's Eyes, blinding him. Left nowhere to run, but he's just going to walk out on sight anyway and make a frag work. HellRaisers, where is your map control? Where is your presence? The answer is apparently nowhere, because you all just want to walk to your deaths. as now it's going to be the 3 versus 4. Angel going to be looking for something straight up through A main. Apex up close and personal, but it's going to be happy to find another, takes him down. HellRaisers, you've just been walked all over. You had the setup perfectly, you had the smokes down. It felt like the read was on point. But now we're going back to the same narrative. EnVyUs, they're going to find 6 on their T side. And if anybody heard us, just doing the kind of the analyst segment right at the get-go, you would have heard us talk about how EnVyUs, their T sides have been, well, let's face it, abysmal at times. They're on 6, and I don't want to say, no, by no means as CT-sided as the old nuke, but it's still pretty damn CT-sided. I'm still looking for these 11-4s, maybe 10-5s if you can push it right to the limit.
Well, yeah, especially as we even have data based on them, and, well, that's not going to help anything. Either way, it's a really bad start. I would say a pause here could actually be a nice little break for them. Things are not working out. They've had some problems just on the basis that Apex is actually starting to warm up quite nicely and run into sites, take people's heads off. Devil has been helping out as well, and I'm not really seeing the sort of scary prospect I saw before where it was all like, oh yeah, MBK carry please. That was what we were looking at, even in the sort of first matchup when they were against Spirit. I think he had to drop 30 odd frags for them to win one of the maps, which is not even a sort of slightly reliable scenario for the rest of the team. Instead, we've got everybody but MBK currently on the board, which is arguably an even worse scenario for HellRaisers. It is still early days. If they can win this round, then sure, maybe things aren't problematic. But you have to remember, if they lose this round, then they're sort of back to just the 3,400 loss bonus and not too much else. And then they're really in a trouble of going even further down. So a little bit worried for them at this stage. Zero hasn't had the start yet, but he is waiting over towards position. He's got a little bit of support. The flashbang going to come in. It works nicely, but Kenny's going to be able to get away. Now looking to what he can do in this scenario. Of course, we've seen Magisk do wonders in this very position versus this team, and there is Angel to start things off.
Nice way for them to open things up, but countless times over and over again they've walked away with advantages on the board, and then managed to just throw things away, even when it looks like on paper they have the advantage. Well, if you take a look at this one, and you just look at it from a pure positioning perspective. If you just to drop a pause right here, you go HellRaisers, they're set up for this push. They have the nice counter angles in play, but they're just being allowed to barge on through these smokes. Hopefully Sticko can do some damage here because they're just running on right behind him, but he will drop down, finds himself one Angel to find another. Sticko going to find 2, and that is the impact we're talking about. This is Mike going to be the man to step up, finding the last frag of that round needed, and that is what I wanted to see from HellRaisers 3 rounds ago.
Yeah, and that's the big factor for me. They manage to make things work. The other thing to mention is, have actually looked it up. I thought I'd just make sure I was correct. It was only 3 rounds gathered last time on the T side for Envy, and they lost 16-13. So mathematically speaking, they're on their way. But it's only 1 round. HellRaisers, if they lose this one, they're probably in an even worse scenario than before. They have now got their bearings. They've managed to stop that straight rush onto the A side, which was doing so much damage prior. But now they've got to continue in that stance. They can't just do it once. They can't just say, okay, this isn't like they're on the T side of nuke, or of the old nuke at least, where, oh yeah, we got 1 round. That's not bad. No, this is a position where they need to be getting more and more. And again, it's going to be this aggressive push, not finding anything just yet. It's going to be Sticko doing the work. And now the crossfire seem to be working a little bit better, but still Apex finding opening frags. He's going to do it again. He's got himself a double. This just leaves 2 players left, but it's Smike. He grabs one back. A 2 versus 2. Smoke going to have to be used to save himself. The bomb yet to be planted. Apex unhappy to save.
Well, it seems like they've made their decision on how they want to go about this one. Just creeping back on closer towards that site. Apex, he still has control, has the bomb in his palms. Looks like he wants to get it down. HellRaisers, they aren't going to contest that just yet. Now that you have the information on where it is planted, I've got to say, I'm looking towards Zero. He's the man who invents the up close and personal. But it's all well and good trying to give your teammates a hug, but we'll be able to make it work. Just going very aggressive, looking for Happy. We'll take him down straight through the corner of the wall, jump straight back into the inside angle. But Smike, he's going to peek out with the AWP and delivers a nice shot straight to the chest of Apex. But can we just talk about Apex? Because he's still being allowed to do so much work, just darting through these smokes. And HellRaisers, they don't seem to realize that just because you've thrown a smoke down, it doesn't mean no one can go through that angle. Someone can still walk right on through, and it's very much a Stewie 2K, eat your heart out kind of style.
Well, yeah, no, Apex looking very strong at this stage, managing to open the game up, bring it back into a close scenario. Not quite able to close the game out, but that is where you look towards other players in a more normal circumstance. In this round, Devil's going to be suffering a little bit in terms of his buy, but the rest of the team will have their full buy in play. Now we're looking at the nade set up over towards the outside of the map. Going to slightly isolate Smike, but really I'd like to see them switch things up. They've tried to go A quite a few times now, and yes, they've got very, very close, but it hasn't worked out just yet. But there we go. Devil's going to be the first out. A little bit of a crossfire setup in play, and it's going to be Bondic to have to do most of the work, but he does. He finds himself 3. Now it's on to Apex, looking for the spray, but it's not going to happen, and Happy back to lurking once again. Sat outside the map with no response yet.
Looks like he's going to find himself one, takes down Angel, but he's still in a 1 versus 2. Nice bird for him. He cuts it quite close. Gets away with it by the skin of his teeth, just 9 HP to play with. But he does have a minute on the board to actually try and work with. He should know where the bomb is dropped. His teammates should have communicated that one. He can see it nice and clearly. But then he's stuck towards outside. HellRaisers, they have loads of time to set up nice and perfectly, just holding those angles. This should be a nice and clear-cut round, especially taking into account that Happy, if we didn't already mention it, he has 9 HP.
Yeah, no, he's not healthy. He's on his last legs, if anything. Time ticking away, 40 seconds, and a crossfire surrounding the bomb. You'd have to be mad to favor him in this circumstance, but if he even drops one more player, this is going to be so much more damaging. Lost bonus will start to build up a little bit for EnVy, but they will probably have to eco at least 1 round off the back of this, so realistically, I don't think him surviving is the best circumstance, unless he really can do something crazy in the next round with the AK. So he is going to go down, and there you go. Smike will finish him off. Bondic doing the majority of the damage, and if he didn't, then there would have been real problems. But let's look at the money. There is still potential for a buy here. I would say it's quite a risky one, but they are going to go for it. And Devil's going to be the one who has to suffer again. Not going to have anything too crazy. Could go for a Galil or something instead of a Tech, but he is just going to go with these nades. Tech 9, no AWP for Kenny in this round, so not going to be on his favored weapon, but let's see what they go for. It has just been the straight A pushes for the last few rounds. They were working initially, so I see the sort of premise behind it. Okay, something works, let's keep trying, but this time they've gone outside, and there goes Angel. Not going to have any impact in this round. Now, well, the bomb is actually on the outside. Smike trying to hold position, but he can't really see too much, and Happy's going to find another one in the meantime. This is looking problematic now for HellRaisers. Their money still hasn't had a chance to build up, but there's Zero. He finds one. He's going to grab himself a second, looking for a little bit more, but look at Apex. He's got all the way around the back, and now it's still an advantage. Zero, he's done quite a bit, hasn't managed to get the bomb. Devil still sort of lurking around the position, and he's going to take the head clean off Bondic. Now it's all down to Zero. He'll have to ace. He grabs one more, looking for something. He is going to do the damage. He's got himself 4. It's down to a 1 versus 1.
Apex knocked down at 45 HP. This is certainly on the cards, but Zero, he's got 19 to play with. A couple of shots could end either of these players' days. That clock is going to begin to wind its way down. The bomb still dropped nice and open. But how will this one play out? He's just going to be creeping around the rafters. The peak is going to come in, but Zero, he looks dazed and confused. No idea where to even check.
Oh,
Apex just playing around the rafters. The mind games are real. Need a player looking towards the right angles. This one has to go one way and only one way. Only the Molotov is going to go down. He's going to drop right down.
He doesn't know. He has no idea where he is, but neither does Zero. Neither player seems to know. This is absolutely ridiculous, and Apex is going to get away. He's going to go down all the way into the B side and go for that plant. Now it's going to be a different 1v1 altogether. Zero had a clear advantage up until this very point. Now he's going to have to go for a more rotation play, and it looks like they're finally going to be, and Apex will end the run. I thought Zero was about to ace the whole of EnVyUs, but it just didn't happen. That's so, that's excruciating.
How on earth did that take place? An insane plate rolling in. But unfortunately, it was not going to be enough.
He should have got it.
It's not going to come full circle.
No, he should have got it.
Because they decided to sing a good old game of Ring Around the Roses, just playing with each other, toying with their minds. And EnVyUs, well, they're going to walk out on top. They've got 7 on the board. I was going to mention that from 6, any round for me, it's a bonus round. And EnVyUs, they're just advocating this because now they're on 7, looking to take it one step further. HellRaisers limited to just these pistols. What on earth could they possibly do?
Yeah, a little bit of extra money on Zero, so he will go for a UMP, but no armor behind it. And I think he actually had 8k, so could have gone at least for a little bit of Kevlar. On the other side of things, MBK just on a deke, Happy trying to make some extra cash. The rest of the players are just going to do their best to stay alive. And you still have to highlight how well Apex is doing in this map. Realistically, we were looking at the point of Zero there, but the fact is, he still got, what, 3 kills in the round, had a really impactful one, managed to win a round that they really needed if they were going to sort of dominate this half as they now are. It reset the economy of HellRaisers. It was just such a big position. But the fact that Zero almost managed to win by killing everyone, it just does. And what was it, a 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4 when he started that? Absolute insane. I genuinely, just the way that was lining up, I thought he had it. Just, it's so close, but yet so far. Definitely an interesting series now. And Well, we're going to have to see an impeccable T-side no matter what happens here from HellRaisers, but it's whether or not Apex can keep doing damage. Outside seems to be the big problem. Look at him, he's just running all the way around, going outside, just trying to take as much map control as possible, and it's one man doing it. He's going to spot out that there's nobody really in too close a position. Some nades will be thrown out, gets rid of the door, allowing for a little bit of a push to come in, but again, it looks like they're building up for A. I can see why. They've managed to dominate it quite a few times now, and Zero, here's the man himself, lining it up. He's going to grab himself the first.
He does drop down, deciding not to go for the overzealous play and try and turn it into a multi-kill. Perhaps a smart decision rolling in now. He has the information where they're playing, but in this, they don't want to commit. They want to play this one right down to the wire. Just really kick things off in a very nice fashion. With Zero, he's holding the angle. You can hear a dink just roll on out. Zero trying to deliver just one step further. Wants to find himself a frag. A dunk going to roll in. Sticko going to be down to do the work. They're trying so hard to find the trade, but the answer is going to be no. EnVyUs. They have been shut out of this B site. There's some quick flurry of frags will roll in. But even then, EnVyUs, they're taking a whole new meaning to the map is your oyster. Apex, he's being allowed to go anywhere. There is no one stopping him. Wherever he goes, he just pushes through the smokes, walks through the flashbangs. And albeit they might have been mowed down towards B there, any lurk plays that come in towards outside, or even any lurk plays that come in towards A, they always tend to be fruitful in some form or another. Yeah,
the one silver lining, though, for the HellRaisers side is the backwards and forwards nature of this half has actually hurt the T's economy once again. However, the man himself still has an AK in hand. MBK is going to be going with the dig, almost finding a kill straight back. Going to throw out the Molotov, but it bounces, and there's a lineup. Nice, easy stuff coming in for Angel. He may go down to 1 HP, but now we see the push coming in from Happy, not going to have any impact at all. And finally, it looks like HellRaisers may have found their feet. Last couple of rounds looking pretty damn clean. Devil going to be trying to add or change that a little bit, but Zero still continuing, and they're going to finish off this round.
You say clean. The one thing that really gets to me in that round is I feel like it could have been a completely different picture, because Angel, he could have been dead and out of the round very quickly. The deagle shots they did connect, knocking him down to 1 HP. If that Molotov landed, he would have been dead. He would have been forced to take a tick, which would have took him over the line, and he would have been walking into his grave, which meant that they would have much more of an opportunity to find the other frags on the board. But it is how it is. It has unfolded the way it has. It means that now, HellRaisers, they are on 5. EnVyUs, they're still on 8. And I still look at this and go, this is good for their T-side.
Yeah, no, this is great for their T-side. We have seen some impressive T-sides come out from a few teams on this map. Envy weren't one of them the last time. Their CT side was definitely the better of the two, only managing 3 last time in a series that I think they found 10, 13 rounds overall. So mathematically speaking, that would be correct. Kenny, though, is going to find himself 1. MBK looking to try and do the same, but it's actually going to be a bit of a bait, but nice shots from Sticko with the dig. He's even going to get 3. Why not? Close it out in style, but it's still going to be an 8-6, and although that was nice, although their money's now booming, here comes the buy.
Sticko, if you can do some buy rounds, that'd be really nice. Not gonna lie, because that was huge. But unfortunately, a big play, it's, for me, somewhat still knocked down a peg when you take in the context of the situation. And that's some of the huge things you see when you witness some plays such as that. But either way, you mentioned we are in the last round of our first half. It's going to be that 6-8 score, and it can go one of two ways. We've already discussed the fact that EnVyUs, this is good no matter what. Maybe they'll take it one step further, but I've got to say I'm feeling it for the HellRaisers side. They've got this certain aura about the way they're playing, albeit it's kind of full of mistakes, it seems. At the same time, they're doing the work that needs to be done. They've clawed it back to 6. Start to really up the ante. And now Apex, he's going for the quick aggressive push. It'll be Sticko, the man to find the first rank. He did the play before. Now can he repeat similar favour? HT going to be flying on out. Won't dish out too much damage. Bondic up close and personal. Just doesn't spot them out until perhaps a little bit too late. But finally, we'll find the frag as Sticko going to make it just one more.
Now, it looks like this is going to end as an 8-7 half. It could have been much better for the Envy side, but still 8 rounds is very impressive from the way we see this map going. However, Devil, 1 versus 3. He's already got it down a little bit closer. Got himself the bomb as well. He's going to ask an awful lot of him. But let's see whether or not he can actually pull it off. Goes for the peek. Smite should be holding this angle, but actually not ready for the shot to go out. But there is the security. And that will be Bondic.
So a 7-8 half has come to an end. And now I have to ask you the difficult question. But before we jump into that one, I do want to mention that MBK is on 3 frags.
Yeah, no, that's... I just noticed that.
On a T side, that's not too bad, though.
I know, but it's just...
not good,
if you were going to sort of take a player who you'd say, okay, who's going to be the one underperforming? I know many people would not say MBK, and I would say that he's normally the one at the top. So it is a sort of crazy scenario that one of the much better T side they're having is not based off the back of him. And I think that's a much more positive note. The fact that Apex, with his entry fragging has been on point. And not just entry fragging, finding very impactful kills all the way across the board, winning them rounds and doing a great amount of damage. Kenny has had a few moments earlier in the game. He helped an awful lot. I think it was 8-1 or 7-1 at one point. So really started very strongly. Yes, he slowed down a little bit, but with AWPers, especially on this map, you're looking at them on the CT side more so than the T. So don't have too much of a problem with that. The main thing I have is the fact that you look over on the HellRaisers side, and no one's really lacking. It's just a sort of whole team problem at the moment. There's been a lot of very close rounds. That's why it was so easy to break that T economy later on. And I'm still just sort of sad about that 0 moment. I have to say, that would have been such an amazing clutch. And he was so close to doing it again on this map.
It's just not to be, unfortunately. You've been close twice now. Maybe the third time will be a charm. Who knows? But so far, the big worrying factor for me is you to take a look at how this map started. That was sheer dominance by EnVy. They started to crumble towards the end of that half, or more aptly put, HellRaisers start to gain back their form. But HellRaisers now, they have to do the same thing on their T side. If they don't have a phenomenal T side, we could be seeing just a very smooth 2-0 rolling out, because by far, CT side on nuke, even unrehearsed, even if you have no idea how to play it, it's much easier to construct on the fly for an IGL than it is on the T side.
Yeah, also have to talk about the idea that a lot of teams are still playing this a similar way, and they have already played it against Dignitas, who I would say so far have been my favorite team to watch on nuke. So the fact that they managed to get 10 rounds against them on the CT side, they now only need 8. I would say realistically they've got a very good chance of doing that. At the same time, HellRaisers have now started to build up a little bit. They've got some players who have had some incredible rounds, and if they can repeat that on the T side, then I wouldn't be going too crazy just yet. MBK yet to really wake up, but again, I think his CT side of Dust 2 is very good. The same for Kenny, the same for Happy. So you never know. Maybe they will step up in these sort of crucial round positions, but a lot of that is all you never know, maybes, whatever you have to say to sort of basically say, I have no idea what's going to happen, because realistically, this could just be a flat-out, well, normaler side of nuke, which what we've seen so far, where EnVy just walk away with it, or they could have some crumbling faults and like their outside position, if it's exploited a little bit earlier, you never know. Maybe there will be problems there. So
this leads me on to an interesting talking point. We saw Apex being a player who just walked all over them on his kind of T-side performance. HellRaisers, maybe it's a good opportunity for them to try the same thing.
Well, yeah, more interestingly for me, it's whether EnVy have learnt from that mistake. Because they did have some sort of rounds where they were covering outside very effectively. Either way, in the pistol round, they've just left the A site completely, which I actually don't mind as a strategy, because realistically, this is looking much more like the retake we see on Cash, where once you're surrounded, it's very difficult. And I'm going to have to interrupt myself, because everything's just being cleared up at the moment. Devil going to push in, and that was really smart.
The one thing about that strategy is you kind of hit that nail on the head, but you lost out on one small factor. It's basically, in a nutshell, you have no idea where to look. At least when you're getting that done to you on something like Cash, you have a rough idea of, okay, we can funnel them into these kind of checkpoints. On that A-site on nuke, there is like 8 or 9 different points that you can be pushed in from in terms of up on rafters, the left, right side, the middle side. You can be pushed from pretty much all over the place, pushed directly through vents. There are so many angles to check, not enough time for you to pull it off, and that's why it swung the way it did. Now we look to see them do a clean job in the follow-up. This is huge for me, because HellRaisers, they've not really put too much investment, just the Eagles into play, no armor. But we'd be lying if we said we haven't been loads of damage dished out in the past.
But yeah, this was some of the problems that EnVy had prior, that they couldn't do it against these pistols. They've looked much better today, but at the same time, you never know. Maybe they'll be able to pull it off. A lot of damage already being done, most of it onto Angel, but still the potential for Kenny to go down. He's currently holding positions with his less favored weapon of choice, not the AWP, the rifle, but still, out of some of the AWPers in the world, you would say he's pretty damn competent in comparison with the rifle. Going to be finding himself the first frag of the round, and you have to remember a lot of these kills are eco frags, but there you go. Bondik will take the head off Happy. Kenny going to be going for the repeat, will take him down, and MBK going to get himself some extra cash in the meantime. But now we're looking for the bomb plant. This is where realistically we want to see the T-side going, but they've actually gone a different way to what most teams will do. Rather going straight for the bomb plant, they've gone around the back, and I'm not too sure. Looking for a few extra frags or something along those lines, whatever it was, it didn't work out, and now they're just going to have a sort of another weird mix by again, allowing EnVy to get themselves onto 11.
Well, they tried it, they failed, and well, it goes back to the whole being seen, done it all, but unfortunately, a lot of those times doesn't quite work out in their favour. The fact that EnVy are staying on to 11, it's a good way for them to kick things off. It's the expected outcome. But I want to see a buy round. I want to see what HellRaisers will bring to the table on their T-sided kind of defaults. Now it's going to be a couple of HP grenades going to be raining down, dishing out not really a single point of damage, only 3 HP to Angel. So not quite as effective as past days somewhat. But either way, it's going to be a bit more map control being gained. HellRaisers, they're being allowed a good chunk, actually. It's fairly uncontested. Hey, Kenny S is the only really player to try and tap away. And even then, not too much being done. Not going to find a single frag just yet. But then it'll be Apex now stepping up to the ante, dishing out a quick headshot straight to the cranium of Smike. Kenny S following up with another one to Sticko. And they have to come down to biting when the time is right, because they have kicked things off in a nice fashion. Well, HellRaisers, they find themselves just being mowed down.
Yeah, 1 kill will come in for 0. He seems to do this across the board a lot of the time with this P250. Very good at finding these frags, but only going to be 1 this time, and that was the sort of expected scenario. Kenny making himself some extra cash, could even drop the rifle over to MBK and buy up an AWP himself, which is exactly what he's going to do. MBK still being a little bit quiet, but Kenny now, he's got himself to the top of the board just based off the pistol and follow-up, so he started himself strong in this half. Now we're looking to see if he can continue it with the AWP. Finally, we see a buy for HellRaisers. They are now at a 4-round deficit with only 5 rounds on the CT side needed for EnVyUs to take this over the line. And this is a very interesting position for Kenny to take this AWP. Close range, unexpected, not something you can use too often, but if it works, it works.
It's a one-trick pony, but realistically speaking, EnVyUs, they don't have too many one-trick ponies that they would have to pull off, as long as they can fall back to a handful of defaults here and there. So maybe not a bad plan after all. Now the pre-nade's going to be rolling on out, looking to do just a bit more damage, and they will do just that. Smike already knocked down a 51, no way near the way you wanted to kick things off, but by the way, a couple more Molotovs looking to go out. HellRaisers now, they're looking to do some damage of their own, but Apex, he's going to peek on right out, finds himself one, a quick trade war all in, but is it going to be enough? MBK, he says no, because he takes down Bond, takes it one step further, a clean headshot straight to the cranium of Sticko, but it's not going to be enough. Happy's going to find another, makes it 2, and with Smike, he might have had a lackluster impact. He did find 1 frag, but unfortunately, that was across the board a very disappointing setup coming out from HellRaisers. A crucial mistake being made by Bond. They didn't quite pull the trigger when I was hoping for him to do just that. And well, you look at it and you go, well, maybe it kind of makes sense. Bondik's actually on 9 frags compared to the rest of his team, who, you know, not significantly higher, but a good chunk.
Well, yeah, realistically, now we look at the fact that MBK actually had a huge impact in that round. 2 players pushing towards him. He finds both while on low HP, and it's going to send them back to pistols. And that's the biggest problem, him and Happy combining, and we've already spoken about, oh yeah, Kenny, there you go, name is said, he gets a kill. But we also have to look at the other players now starting to wake up, and that's the scariest factor, but there's Angel, headshot, nice work with the Deeg. Unfortunately, he's already lost some other players in the meantime. 0, this position is not going to be ideal with the P250, basically looking to see if there's any sort of flank coming in play. And you've already seen Happy, looks like he's ready to not only hold the cross, but potentially pick up that AWP.
I think that's what he's aiming for, as Apex is going to go for a peek, finds himself the first frag, takes down Angel. 0, going to find himself 1 more. We've mentioned 0 in the past being this kind of last man player to do so much damage. But you have to talk about the fact that, well, he's limited to his age-old weapon, the P250, also the weapon we tend to find him in these scenarios with. He's found himself 1 frag, but just 3 to find. I don't really want to kind of put too much into this one, because there's 45 seconds to play with. That is a good chunk of time, but the position doesn't look it's quite going to work out. Already being knocked excruciatingly low. Devil just going to add insult to injury, takes him straight down through the metal cheating. That means that, unfortunately, well, the answer is going to be not today. EnVyUs, they're now on 13. We'll see the buy roll out, so I'm looking forward to seeing what HellRaisers can bring to the table. But the eyes for me are actually going to be on these rifles, because I feel like if they can get themselves up close and personal, find themselves a couple of impact frags with these AKs very quickly, that could be their avenue, so to speak, that they should be going for.
The only thing now is just getting very close for comfort. HellRaisers 3 rounds away, and they are out. And you have to remember, when it got to those sort of semi-final stages we were talking about, 3 teams go through already. Kenny starting off very strong with that AWP outside. May have got his head taken off in the last, but he's going to take down Angel, the man who did it. Now we're looking at Smike to return. Hasn't had a decent start to this. Hasn't really had too much of an impact so far. Sticko be getting burnt out. The flashbang and the peek. Not quite going to do the damage. 2 HP. Sticko seems to be the king of surviving with low health. However, now we look at the flash. This is the problem sometimes, though. When Kenny rotates here, it leaves outside very open. We do see a little bit of a response from Apex to try and stop them just getting all the way out. But you look at his position, it's not covering outside. There's no one outside now. So really, it just depends if they're a little bit lucky. Like, they're going for a gamble here. They're trying to make sure that they have the sights covered rather than some of the outer positions. Kenny now rotating away, and they're leaving different avenues sort of more open than the rest. Bondik, as you could see, is now starting to move onto that outside position where there's not really any sort of presence left from the CT side. And with 40 seconds left, it does look like they are going to go towards that B site. But this is the player I want to watch.
Certainly would agree with you on that one. My eyes are just kind of fixated on this position. But on the HellRaisers side of things, they're just creeping very close to this ramp. There is no one there to really hold them off. There is a player kind of up high that should be able to hear those steps. But even then, it's all well and good hearing something that you have to respond, Tom. Well, now we're down to the 15-second marker. You're cutting this one really close. There's a player sitting right in the smoke. Happy now. He's opened the doors. He's pouncing for this opportunistic time. We're down to 7 seconds. The bomb has to go down. It's been dropped and it's done and dusted. HellRaisers, hello. You need a stopwatch or something because you've just made a complete meal out of that round. And it'll be a quick flurry of frags to roll in. EnVyUs is adding insult to injury. Will drop every single player, barely taking any damage at all.
That's the big problem. He's died after the round. I was looking at that timer thinking either he died on like 0.1 or he died after the round, and he has $850. They've no choice but to force, otherwise it's coming to an end. But he has nothing. He has literally nothing to play with, and that's a big, big problem. Again, they do run out of time, and the fact is that position was open for so long, but the crossfires were nice. It looked like a reaction that actually worked very nicely. We talked about the gamble, and it paid off. In this round, they've gone back to a little bit more of a standard, but Kenny holding much further back, just allowing them to take this outside position. And we're looking at Happy sort of coming in around over towards Secret to basically say, okay, yep, you can come towards me, but I'm going to try and do the damage. Already have to highlight the point that Bondik only has a pistol in this circumstance. No head armor as well, and there is Kenny holding further back, but still a lethal factor as Angel falls again.
We discussed the fact that EnVyUs only needs 2 more rounds. Well, 2 one-trick ponies on Nuke, not that hard to come up with. Smike is going to find himself 1 takes down Happy. But even then, it's going to be that 4 versus 4 still lies in that CT side court. Devil is going to find himself being knocked down to 66 HP. A quick dink going to roll in. But look at Apex, going to barrel up, be aggressive. Actually will get punished. Sticko going to find a very nice headshot. But it's going to get away on 7 HP, 0 on 9. HellRaisers excruciatingly low. They do have the man advantage. They have some position to get themselves up close and personal on a site. NES, not even sure where that came from, but he's going to find himself a lovely little shot straight through the corners of the ramp, looking to take it 1 step further and take this one home for his team. As now Bondik will creep right into the angle. The shot somewhat going to be missed, but if they repeat this one, it's just so low. Sticko, he could find himself even getting wall-banged from this angle.
There you go. Oh, wow. Kenny just doing the damage. This time it's going to be down to Bondik. He has himself 20 seconds to go. They're holding him in a bit of a crossfire here. Look at the position of MBK. It could come down to just a quick peek. If he finds his headshot, he has a chance, but it's not going to happen. MBK will close things out. 1 more round, and Envy are through.
That reaction right there from the terrorist's face, that kind of sums up for me the feeling that HellRaisers must be feeling right now. Because let's just highlight the fact that we discussed this is a pretty hefty LAN event. There's 1 round away from HellRaisers. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's really believing in the comeback at this stage. It hasn't had a single round so far for the HellRaisers side. They didn't really do enough on CT. We said it was possible if they had a phenomenal T-half. So far, they haven't even got a round. They're going to go for the exact strategy that Envy went for. Quick aggression. Zero's going to be opening up. He finds himself 2 headshots at least. So that's a nice start. Now we're looking at Kenny. He's on the outside. Spams, almost manages to catch out 1, but doesn't quite get the frag. We also look at the position. Devil. He's coming round from behind. We also have Happy up high, trying to do himself some damage from outside. But realistically, this is a tough position. There's plenty of money for Envy to play with. Of course, haven't lost a round yet. And there we go. This time, Devil will find the frag. Manages to take down Angel. Now, it's coming down a little bit closer. Happy will fall. Devil, he's not in a real position to push this. I would say the save is actually more valuable now. Just hold these players in. Try and stop them getting away. Sticko is just about going to survive. There we go. He will be ended by Kenny. Smike looking for this frag as well. If he can get himself an AWP, that'll be so much more valuable. And he should actually be able to grab that one as well. So, nice round from HellRaisers. Quick round from HellRaisers. And in fact, Devil will even die at the end.
This time, though, they have an opportunity to work with. In terms of, they know what works. They know this quick aggressive style is where you can catch EnVyUs out. Because those crossfires, they do start to fall apart. We saw Kenny just basically being forced out of the round. There was nowhere for him to really peek. He tried to go for a no-scope through the smoke, but it's not quite the reliable point. The problem for HellRaisers is it's not like they plot this onto this one at the 14th round for EnVyUs. No, a single mistake, that's it.
Or a single big play. And that's the scarier factor for me. There's been a lot of big plays. Angel Looking like he's going to try and push outside again. They have been trying to take over the spot from Kenny for the majority of the game, and it hasn't worked out too much so far. Angel, though, it looks like he's going to be able to get round the edge of the smoke, and that could be an important factor here. Making quite a lot of noise, so they should have an idea that there are players going around into Secret, and Apex even going to get one through the smoke. Sticko's quick to change, though. They're taking a lot of map control, but there's Happy. That is such a sneaky spot. They didn't expect two players to be there, and this time Sticko is going to lose his life. Now, a man disadvantage, a minute 10, and they could be done. Can HellRaisers continue the train?
Intelligence for me is what's paying off for this French side. They're just outplaying HellRaisers, outthinking them. But they do still have 3 men standing. That's 3 people left to fall for them to take this one well and truly home. And I don't want to write off their hopes completely. They still have a chance, but they have to be able to find the frags. Happy, he's perched up on this angle, but Apex is going to peek right round, takes Angel down. He's not even looking towards him. He will get traded out. Bondit going to be the man to find the frag, but now it's a 2 versus 3, and we get closer and closer. But most importantly, that clock, it's winding down. It's not going to stop for either team. It's just going to keep on going. We're getting down to that 35-second mark. I want to see some movement come out. Kenny, he says no. He finds the first round, comes in with a second peek. In typical Kenny-esque fashion, it's going to be EnVyUs going to LAN.
Yeah, no, really big plays. Kenny actually ends up on the top of the board overall, having a huge series in the second map. Happy as well working, and while Angel balances out towards the end. Apex for me on that T side was absolutely phenomenal, really stepping up huge, and I think he's going to be very happy with his performance on that one. But basically it just came down to the fact that the CT side wasn't quite good enough, and that early round streak, it was just way too scary, and inevitably a very good CT side coming out from the EnVyUs side. But that's really all it comes down to. Not too much analysis to be done. They didn't manage to do too much on their T side, but it's the CT side where they should be doing the damage. Either way, that is it. That's it for Europe anyway. We are going to be coming back with NA later today. Of course, our first game will be Cloud9 versus Optic, which we will be covering, and then we will hand it off, I think, to Mega Man to do the very late one of the Brazilians versus the Australians, Immortals versus Renegades. Either way, we will be seeing you in a few hours. Make sure you don't go anyway. Of course, congratulations to EnVyUs for getting themselves through to a LAN, to a big LAN, and we will be seeing you a little bit later.